I'm Jess. I own Jess Trackside Media. I'm a motorsport photographer and content creator. I first became a fan of British F1 last year when I was introduced to it by Reza after becoming friends with him and following young drivers through series. I first started my journey in 2023. I was invited to a British GT race at Brands Hatch and met lots of drivers, but I mainly made friends through the Ginetta Junior drivers. They were also friendly, willing to talk and everything like that. And then I went to the last race of the season. I met a lot more of the drivers, just became friends with them. And then over winter, got talking to people, and I was like, how can I, build my connections and what I want to do? And then started going to British F4 races and kept going to Ginetta races. So now I spend most of my weekends away at racetracks trying to build my connections and make my face known. My first event last year was Donington, the first round of the season. I came and did my second ever interview with Reza, and I was quite nervous to start with. I didn't talk to anyone. I just stood there quietly. And then Reza introduced me to Deegan and Mika, and I became friends with them. And then I realised after talking to them that I do have the confidence to go and talk to other people and make new friends. You just got to put yourself out there. The drivers, the community, the fans, it's all so welcoming and accessible as well. A lot of motorsport like F1 isn't as accessible because of how expensive it is. But British F4 is quite affordable for youngsters trying to get to more races. As the season went on, I just started taking pictures for everyone. And I started with my Skittle interviews at Silverstone in June. I was on my way to Snetterton and we've been stuck in traffic for ages. And I was actually talking to Reza. I was like, I was watching my own interviews back. I was like, we're both bored of these interviews. What questions do you want to be asked as a driver? Because I was asking the same questions as everyone else and they were all very similar interviews. And so he was like, I want people to get to know me, ask me if I have any pets, what my favourite colour is and things like that. So then I came up with the what's your favourite colour Skittle question. And it's nothing to do with my favourite sweets being Skittles, it was just a random question. And then I did it for the first time at Silverstone. And the amount of times I got drivers like laughing or actually stopping and thinking about their answers after such a serious interview, just to throw a little bit of fun in and bring their personalities out in the drivers. Reza from last year, and I work with a lot of Ginetta Junior drivers, so drivers that come up through Ginetta Juniors like Chase Fernandez, Ethan Jeff Hall and people like that. I support all junior drivers because they're so lovely to their fans as well. That's what I find. A lot of bigger drivers haven't got as much time because they're so busy, but British F4 drivers, you can stop and have a conversation with them and you can ask them questions and anything. So I just support all junior drivers because they're all lovely. I've never had a bad experience with a junior driver. I think that it's good that you find a driver to support and then follow them through the series. So when you get to the likes of Lando Norris, who was racing in F4, then you can say you followed them all the way through their motorsport career. And a lot of them small memories, of asking drivers what their favourite colour Skittle could mean a lot more in a few years when they're all higher up in their motorsport career. So last year, my dad messaged Chris Stark after we heard that Lando and Oscar were on the radio and was like, oh, can you just, can you get them to say hi to Jess? And then they messaged back and they were like, can you get Jess to London for the next day at 9 a.m? We were like, maybe. So then we got me there and they told me I was doing a podcast. So I was completely unaware. And then after being interviewed on the radio, they walked in and it was insane. The whole week was insane. I'd gone from capital London back home to my prom for 2 hours and then to Silverstone the next day. And then on the Sunday, Hilton gave us balcony tickets for the F1 race. And they filmed with me and gave me lots of surprises. So it was a really lovely week. Very overwhelming, but it was absolutely amazing. And Oscar as well, obviously Oscar racing in British F4 as well. It was nice to talk to them about junior racing and Lando racing Ginetta Juniors. So just having that bond with them over motorsport is such a lovely thing. I'd love to work in anywhere in motorsport. If someone came to me and said, do you want to engineer on this car for a weekend? Teach me how to do it and I'll do it. I'm willing to do anything. But I think my end goal is the motorsport, like media management, photography, content creation and things like that. Whether that's F1, endurance racing or anything like that. Just I want to be in the motorsport world with this community that we've built.
Because I'm such a big fan of British F1, but you're a very special story.
Thank you so much.